I see the light. September 6, 2017, at 7:03. I call the regular meeting of the Borough of Hawthorne Council to order. Roll call, please.
Bennett.
Here.
Lane.
Here.
Matthews.
Here.
Mealy.
Here.
Sinning.
Here.
Wotecki.
Here.
Bertolo.
Here, please stand for the flag salute and remain standing for a moment of silence for the survivors, the victims, and all the emergency service personnel and volunteers that are involved in Hurricane Harvey and soon to be Hurricane Irma in the United States down in Florida. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the annual schedule of regular meetings heretofore adopted and posted on the public bulletin board at the municipal building, emailed to the Hawthorne Press, Herald News, the Record, the Gazette, and all persons who have requested the mailing of such schedule and a copy of said schedule has remained on file in the office of the Borough Clerk from and since December 8, 2016. Approval of minutes. Approval of minutes for the regular meeting of July 26th and bid minutes for Arlington Avenue improvements opened August 31st. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Made by Wotecki, seconded by Sinning. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wotecki.
Yes.
Sinning.
Yes.
Mealy.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Lane.
Abstain on the 26th, yes on the 31st. On the business.
Thank you. Bennett.
Yes.
Bertolo.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Public comment. I'll now open the meeting to the public. If anyone desires to be heard, please raise your hand and be recognized. Come forward to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. This is on agenda items only. Seeing no one, I entertain a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
So moved.
Made by Wotecki, seconded by Sinning. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Adoption of ordinances. Bond ordinance 2192-17. Bond ordinance providing for the acquisition of fire department capital equipment, specifically a fire engine, in and by the Borough of Hawthorne in the County of Passaic, New Jersey, appropriating $700,000 therefore and authorizing the issuance of bonds or notes of the borough in the amount of $665,000 for financing the same. The public hearing on this ordinance was conducted on August 16, 2017 and closed, and this ordinance was posted on the bulletin board on which public notices are customarily posted, published in the Hawthorne Press and available on the borough website. Copies of said ordinance were made available to the general public. I now therefore entertain a motion that it be resolved that this ordinance be adopted and the clerk is authorized the same according to law.
So moved.
Second.
Made by Mealy, seconded by Bennett. Michael, do we need to continue the public hearing tonight?
No, the public
Okay.
hearing was closed, so this is just a motion to approve.
Not a problem. Motion by Bennett, seconded by Mealy. Any discussion?
Oh, you got that back.
Oh, motion by Mealy, seconded by Bennett.
Just for the record.
All in favor? I shouldn't say that. No, I'm wrong.
No,
I'm
you
wrong.
gotta
Any
buy it.
discussion?
You ever done this before?
Yeah, I'm rusty. Roll call.
Thank you. Bennett.
Yes.
Lane.
Abstain.
Matthews.
Yes.
Mealy.
Yes.
Sinning.
Yes.
Wotecki.
Abstain.
Bertolo.
Yes.
Motion
You're on
carries.
vacation, we gotta retrain you.
Congratulations, guys.
Pick out a good one.
We want it red.
It'll be partially right.
Yeah. Okay, moving right along. Old business. John, we'll start down your end.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Eric, Central Avenue, the item I brought up last meeting with regard to the sinkholes where they dug up the road, the developer dug up the road and now we're sinking in. What's the status with that? Or is that something for Steve for engineering?
We'll have to get, at some point, with engineering about repaving and what needs to be done, but right now, we'll follow it up with Public Works to make sure that they do whatever they need temporarily, so.
Okay, it is sinking in, and it's going to sink in even more until such times as, you know, it does get repaved, so.
Anything else, Sean?
No, that's it for roll.
Okay. Dominic?
I'm okay.
Bruce?
Oh, yeah, Eric, an update on our tree situation over on the Cicero property?
On which property?
Well,
Post
post
Ave.
the Cicero's.
Well, we reached out to, on the coordination between us removing the tree and and them repairing the sidewalk. So I don't know, what, I didn't personally do it, so I don't know what was specifically was working.
Any idea of a time frame on this thing?
It would be in coordination with whenever they have a contractor ready to go on the sidewalk.
Right after Irma hits us in the tree.
Yeah, I'm thinking, that's the way we do things.
Anything else?
No?
Okay. Frank?
Nope, no old business. Nope.
Gary? No. Joe?
The Cedar Ave, I had brought up the condition of Cedar Ave and that we had sent a group out there. It's still not in good condition. And also the PSE&G where they did work, where they removed concrete, still not repaired.
Okay.
It's directly across the street from Mr. Metzler's house.
Okay. PSC&G repairs, okay.
Joe, anything else?
No, sir?
All right, new business. Joe, we'll stay right by you then.
All right. Dr. Boswell,
Yes, sir.
I've sent a number of emails in regards to the quality of the contractor for paving. I haven't received any replies.
Well, there are three items, I believe, if I remember them all from the emails, and I'll address each one. One were some scrapes and nicks on one of the drop curves, one of the driveway aprons,
Multiple.
and while
The only one I did send a picture.
right, and while we're not pleased with them, none of them really warrant being ripped out and replaced. So they'll lessen over time. The second one were the windows.
Broken windows?
Broken windows, and I'll just tell you that I never doubt anybody's veracity and don't challenge what they say if I don't know them. But I have been in this business since the invention of milling machines and have never heard of a window being broken by a milling machine. However, that being said, the resident should file a claim with the contractor, and his insurance company will do what they do to remedy that situation. The third one was a potential ponding on Elberon. And it's not really a ponding situation, but it is low, and we're going to infrared that out on the punch list along that curb line to make sure that water never stays there after the rain stops. I think those are the three, Joe.
Those are the three, and I'd also like to say that I would love the opportunity to walk all the streets that were in the 2017, or even ask somebody from, because I have to say that from the moment that they started, that this was not the best I've ever seen.
Well, and I don't disagree that this paver is not Smith Sunday, to use the name of someone, but we are constrained by bid laws.
But
and
just because it's the lowest bid does not mean we get the lowest quality.
that's correct. Well, at least we hope that's you're right. But,
from breaking the gas main from the first day they were there to the ponding, and I disagree with you. When it's ankle deep, that's ponding.
Well, and as I said, I was just there now. I was there 15 minutes ago, and there's no ponding at the exact spot where you did the photo.
Oh, you can see the photo. It's not like I
Oh, no. And well, the thing is, when you look at the photo, is it raining at the time? Because the water, it's a flat section of road. So water will accumulate along the gutter, which will then dissipate.
But it's
The question
2
is-
feet from the drain.
Right, well, and it's going to be remedied. So I don't disagree. As I said, it will be remedied.
All right. I don't want to beat you up.
I think he was saying it was fake news that you were giving him.
Any problem anywhere else? We did the whole town.
None that.
No, they did 6 streets.
Well,
Yes.
6.
None that I'm aware of.
Any new business, Joe?
I do have one other new business, but it's more, I'll bring it up under administration.
Okay.
I look forward to it.
It's easy.
Frank?
It's a softball.
Under new business, I had emailed Eric, a resident in the Kaywin area, concerns regarding stop signs on Kaywin, Lynn, and Sherman, how the vehicles aren't stopping as they pass through, getting onto Robertson. Police department did a study and said it doesn't really warrant it, doesn't mean that we can't do that. So I asked the police department to maybe do a little more presence in the area to see if they can try and control it. Obviously, the idea is not to park someone in the neighborhood all the time, take away manpower, but it's something that we may, I might ask the ordinance committee to take a look at going forward. And Eric was looking at the possibility of a sidewalk issue in the area as well. I didn't really get an answer back what we're going to do with that, whether you got a recommendation or not.
Well, it was, yeah, it had to do with trees, so the first thing we do when there are trees, I have the arborist look at it and see
Yeah,
whether.
I don't know if
they
he's
need whatever.
gotten around to it.
He was
Give me
away
a
for a
report.
week and just back, so I know that he hasn't looked at it yet.
Just figured I'd share it with everybody else.
No problem. Anything else, Frank? Nope. Bruce? New business?
Yeah, I got this really nice invitation, I assume you guys did too, to the curated wine and cheese fundraiser at the Day Mansion in September. It's $35 a person, sounds great. And then I read, please make checks payable to Friends of Passaic County Parks. I wonder if they know the freeholders have $1 million to blow on artificial turf in the park, and they've got to run fundraisers for $35 apiece. If you're a fan of irony, you gotta love that one.
I find it ironic that we're having alcohol served in a county park. If you were to do that, you would get a ticket.
Well, how do you think they came up with the idea for the artificial turf?
Well, I guess you.
Mystery solved.
I'm
That's
okay,
it.
John.
John, anything?
Yes. I guess this is for Steve. I'll wait.
Oh, wow.
This streetscape. I've noticed that, I believe the county came in and put up some signs for us, like crosswalks, et cetera. Is it possible to look into, I have to defer to administration, but somehow making it uniform to the sign poles that we received with the grant as far as being, so the whole thing is uniform and not galvanized and black?
You can, it's just a matter of course. The county has put up what the county will put up. And if we want to look at that, and Hawthorne want to take that financial step, we could certainly match them at any one.
We can also
Eric,
paint.
could we look into that, Eric, and at least get a price?
Okay, Steve, we'll get there and get how many posts
We
there
have to
are.
count how many we're talking about, and then we'll figure. And you're not just talking about painting them, you're talking about making them, because you could just paint them black. You
No,
know?
Yeah, but then you're just gonna have your maintenance problem every
Right.
few years.
Right, you're talking about getting a powder coated type of
The signposts that we
and
have
put a
now,
base in, you
so
know.
they match.
I guess the question I have in the same vein, you're talking about the
Yeah, no
Diamond
turn.
Bridge in
Yeah,
Lafayette.
yeah.
You know, there's a no turn on red sign on the arm of the traffic signal. And they put one on a post, you know, below it. Is that DOT required?
It might be, John, I think it might be.
And I guess then in the visit, we didn't pick that up on the design end. And the same with the crosswalk sign.
Right.
Are these required signs that we didn't pick up in the design of it, or is this
Where'd
the
they come
county? Where did they come from? You know,
I
If
think
it wasn't
the
on the
county-
drawings,
I
then
think
why
the
all of a
county
sudden?
added them later on. They're not required signs,
But they didn't notify you
no.
as our engineer?
and they're not required.
They are not required. The no turn on red signs are required, crosswalk signs are not required. Crosswalks are delineated by the crosswalk itself, and in fact, even if it's not delineated, there's an implied crosswalk at every intersection.
Right.
So you don't need a sign that says crosswalk, I believe.
But
there's-
they have a right to put them up because that's their road?
Yeah,
They don't
So
put
once
those-
again, we try to make things look historical, and they choose to make things look modern.
Terrible too, the signs are ugly, big ugly.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
We can have a discussion with the county. I'm sure the county would be amenable to letting Hawthorne put in any signs for which Hawthorne paid.
any posts.
They've never.
Well, I'd like to look at it, and I don't know, you know, we can check on a no turn on red. If it's not
I'll
required,
check on that.
then,
I think it is required, though. I forget that, the definitely one's required on the mast arm, and I believe the secondary one's required just because of traffic.
well, then maybe we can get rid of the crosswalk sign. It's probably a 36-inch square sign
Second place.
that says crosswalk with an arrow.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, you gotta be kidding me, you know, so,
We did not put that there.
I understand that.
So can you work it out with?
I'll talk to Eric, I'll talk to Eric. We'll walk it, and we'll see which signs they are, and then we'll come up with a design that is more in line with the design of the streetscape.
Right.
And then we'll price that out. We'll let everybody look at it, and then we'll price out the difference.
Okay. All right, Eric?
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
if things aren't required, we can at least ask the county about
Crosswalk signs are not required.
Right.
The-
But some signs are required, the one is, and the others are not, and we can,
Eliminate the ones that aren't required.
and we can't force that, but we can certainly request it.
Yeah.
Okay. the next
Anything else,
one-
John?
No, one more.
Go ahead.
The next, again, I refer to you, the trees that were planted there.
Right.
They're planted right under the wires. So in time, I'm assuming that they're going to grow and they're going to be chopped off at the top by the hackers from public service. And, you know, they're going to look terrible in the center of the roadway. Is it possible, now to refer to Eric, when we have our fall planting, is to take those trees out, put our trees in, and take those trees and put them someplace else in town?
We are going to look at the, I vote,
The only question is, John, I want to know what your trees are, because, well, I've actually spent a little bit of time on this, because I know this became an issue.
Last meeting, I brought it up that they are dwarfing trees that go out as opposed to go up.
Well, actually, they do both, which is, here's the situation you have, is you're trying to get a tree which is columnar in shape, meaning it doesn't spread very wide, and, if possible, not tall. The tree that we originally spec'd on there was an Arawani cherry, and that tree, it has a very small radius, diameter, and it also stops at a certain height, which is generally below the wires. So it's very nice. The problem is that tree, the arborist doesn't like cherry trees because he says they're subject to disease. And secondarily, the contractor said he couldn't find them. So then he proposed 4 alternatives. We looked at all 4. Of the 4 alternatives, we did select the best of the 4. The thing is, as I said, our landscape architect and I looked at this. There's no really good tree. That's the problem, because the
You
trees,
get it at Harrow's.
the trees, all the trees will grow to a too large a diameter and or too tall. So you are going to get the public service. I don't know if you know, but the BPU just came out with a new standard for clearance on electric lines. If it's what they call a gut line, which is the first service off the pole at the highest volt, I'm an electrician, but if it's in that, they now are required to clear them sky to ground. It used to just be 15 feet. Now it's got, so I said, well, sky to ground means you cut the tree down, if it's underneath the thing. So Eric and I, we've talked about this as part of your tree plan. We can switch the trees out, let the arborist pick one, but I'll tell you, there is no perfect tree. They all have some, like one that's a very good one, but we never recommend, is the sweet gum, because it drops those filthy things all over the pavement.
I have one.
And so we don't recommend those, but in fact, I have a whole file here on trees. But we'd be more than happy to switch those out. And by the way, the ones you have, they're one of the best ones you can have for that location. But they are going to have to be ultimately trimmed, no question. I don't know that there's anyone, and I dare the arborist, the Shade Tree Commission on that. And by the way, just to let you know, I will tell you, we always deal with the Shade Tree Commission, but one of our young engineers did this project and he didn't get that piece. He got it now. We will always deal with the Shade Tree Commission. But I have to say, I don't think the tree that's picked is any worse than any other tree that could be picked for that location.
They could also,
And I've looked at a bunch of trees. So.
they could also have a pruning program where we shape the tree every year. It's not the end of the world.
So,
And then I guess, and the question I was gonna ask is, okay, is it 15 years that it's in the wires, or, what's the growth on a tree?
yeah, well, they're not fast growers. So, yeah, you're probably talking at least 10
That's if you do
15
nothing
years.
with the tree
Right,
whatsoever.
Right, so if you
2
prune
inches,
it-
No,
2 inches
I'll
a
tell you
year.
about these trees, that, again, because we're in Hawthorne, something that we always look at, these trees are known for not raising sidewalk limbs. So they're deep-rooted trees, so they do not go laterally.
The root tap is it's a
Right.
single root tap.
They go down, they don't go out, which, that's another big consideration.
My point is, if you get 15 years out of the tree and you have to replace them,
Right.
it's not the end of the world to cut a tree down and replace it.
The trees
In
are
that,
about,
you
new these trees are like $400. So it's not, you're right. I mean,
All 4?
No,
Yeah.
there's 14 of them actually, but.
I mean, if you want to keep the look and you
That's
prune
not-
them and
yeah.
you get as many years as you can out of them.
Well, if they're pruned properly, that's fine. But if public service gets their hands on them, you might as well just cut them right down.
And
Right.
public service they have the right of way to trim
Yes,
any
they do.
tree, you can't stop. So, And John's idea may be the best, but we certainly, if there's an opportunity to put these trees elsewhere, if there's a better tree, I'll tell you this, if there's a better tree, the only one I know is better is the one we originally recommended. And because it doesn't grow as fast, it dwarfs off this cherry tree. But the arborist doesn't like cherry trees. The Hawthorne arborist said that they're subject to disease, although...
You put a gum tree in there, you'll ruin.
Oh, yeah, you ruin the sidewalk. He just did this beautiful job. We agree. We would never do it. But you have to look at a columnar tree, you have to look at deep root, tap roots as opposed to lateral roots, because you don't want to lift the sidewalk slab, and you want one that doesn't grow very rapidly.
And you want one that's not messy.
And not messy, right, add that part.
Right,
With
sounds
the
like,
cherry tree- the
sounds
thing
like
about
a
the cherry-
sycamore tree to
Sounds like
me.
a sycamore tree. Yeah.
Well, the cherry tree is a beautiful tree. I mean, it's flowers. But just like the cherry blossoms in Washington, they flower for a week. That's it. You know, and then for 51 weeks, they don't flower. So that's the one. But if there's a better one, we're open to listen to it. We could move these trees. But I tell you now, I looked, and there aren't really any better ones for this location. Just because you've got wires, you've got a narrow sidewalk, it's 1.75 feet from the face of curb, so you have very little radius to spread. You know, so you need a column. It's a tough situation.
If that's the case, my suggestion would be, maybe through administration and the Shade Tree Commission, is to come up with a pruning program for the entire borough, and this way, it may help.
A couple years,
It may help in the long run with people walking on the sidewalks, the height of the trees, et cetera.
a couple years ago, we did start a small and medium-sized tree pruning program, and that we do some trees every year, and so we'll make sure that these trees go on that schedule. So,
And you've got at least a 5-year abeyance. You don't have to worry about it. You know, but then after that, probably start using.
Well, that's when they hit the schedule, 5 years.
That's when, yeah, put them up. So.
That's all I have, John.
Okay. If there's no other new business, we'll turn the meeting over to the mayor for the administrative agenda. Mayor
Thank you.
Goldberg, you're up.
Thank you, Council President. I want to thank Alan Trano, Jesselyn, Evan, and Chris and their staff, and the Friends of the Library for working together to host a solar eclipse viewing party on August 21st down at the band shell. It was a terrific event. It was great to see so many of our residents out to enjoy the eclipse. I did learn that you shouldn't wear a suit for 2 hours outdoors in the middle of the summer. It was quite an experience for me, but I've learned. It's Sunday, September 10th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Farmers Market is our annual Green Fair. Please stop by. That's your report?
Cross that off my list.
Okay. On Monday, September 11th at 6:30 p.m. at the 9/11 Memorial Site on Goffle Road, we will hold our annual service. This year's keynote speaker is Virginia Bauer. After her husband was killed at the World Trade Center, Ginny became a key activist on behalf of 9/11 families. She's also a trustee and member of the executive board of the National 9/11 Memorial Museum board. So we're very honored to have Ginny Bauer speak at our remembrance. Just remember that Borough Shred Day in the parking lot of Borough Hall is scheduled for Saturday, September 16th from 9 until 1. This is for residents only, and there's a limit of 3 boxes of papers per household. Just a reminder, Hawthorne Day is Saturday, September 23rd from noon until fireworks. Hawthorne Day is bigger and better with more vendors and more food vendors than last year, so it should be a really great day to come out and enjoy being a Hawthorne resident. And finally, since I'm the only member of the Rotary up here, a Taste of Hawthorne tickets are available. This year's event will be on Tuesday, October 3rd at Macaluso's, so please try and attend. It's a great event if you've never been. Just a fun night of food and other things if you're over 21. It helps sponsor the Rotary programs, including scholarships, and it's a great event. Next, I call upon my band shell chairman and borough attorney, I'm lucky he does both, Mike Pasquale, for his report.
Thank you, Mayor. Onto the legal issues. The synthetic turf field that Bruce alluded to in Gofflebrook Park, we received word about a week and a half ago. The appellate division denied our application for a stay on a procedural grounds. And the procedural ground was, first, you need to present the request to the commissioner. Now, you may remember that the mayor wrote to the commissioner right after Mr. Bornanian, the assistant commissioner, ruled that a synthetic turf field would make good sense in a historic park, and the commission never got back to us, not at any point. Nevertheless, I did submit, in a matter of probable futility, a request to the commissioner for him to stay his own decision. When he refuses to do so, which is we expect the course that will be taken, we will again be able to present the matter to the appellate division. Just goes to show you the way things work and what we're really up against, and why I continue to say that the most effective counter to this action is to tell the elected officials in the county. There was a letter in the Hawthorne Press last week, a good, well-written letter, again, saying, why would we possibly change the nature of this beautiful park? Let your elected officials in the county know how much you oppose this, if in fact that's how you feel. But again, we'll continue to fight the legal fight, but I'm encouraging our residents to fight on the political end as well. On a more positive but less important, perhaps, note, the Supreme Court denied Mr. Spoilda's request for certification of his appeal from the appellate division. So it was, again, on procedural grounds, though, that he did not file documents he was supposed to file. It still will probably make an ending to this matter, because I do not think the U.S. Supreme Court is likely to consider the matter. So that's the legal end of it. Let me report on the band shell. I want to report, first of all, as a follow-up to my last report, I did speak at length about Fight for Autism, and Johanna Burke is here tonight, and because she has a second commitment from here, I would ask that I concede some of my time to Johanna so she can come up and report in still more detail about what an amazing night we had for Fight for Autism night. So if Johanna can come up, she'd like to say something. I'm going to yield some of my time to my colleague.
Don't want to take any of my time.
And some of Eric's time, too.
Time?
Not at all. You're good. I like the pants, though.
Thanks. This is my new jacket, too. See?
Very cute.
I just want to say,
Do you want to take that off, Johanna? That comes off of there? Yeah. There you go.
Jacket.
Just
jacket?
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. It works.
Fine, it works. Okay. So the Fight for Autism concert was one of the most amazing events that we've had here in Hawthorne. It was bigger and better than last year. We had nearly 1,000 people show up, adults, kids having a great time. We had a celebrity rock star, Constantine Maroulis, who actually emceed the show for us, and he sang 3 shows for us, and he was gracious enough to go on the CBS Morning News program with myself and promote this big concert event for Hawthorne, and promote Mayor Goldberg and Mike Pasquale and the Hawthorne Borough Band Shell and all the Hawthorne residents who volunteered their time to play the concert for Fight for Autism. It was an amazing night. We raised nearly $5,000. I am meeting with a reporter from North Jersey Media this week, and they will be doing a big write-up on the Fight for Autism concert, along with pictures and video that they will put out. So I'm excited about that. And if any of you don't know, so Fight for Autism is a nonprofit that fundraises money and gives back to families living with autism to help them pay for respite care, after-school care, therapies, evaluations, iPads, communication devices, anything that these families need, because autism is a huge financial burden on families. And I just want to say, Constantine Maroulis even said he would come back again next year, which I think is amazing, because I think next year will be even bigger and better than it was this year. And I just want to say thank you so much to the mayor and the town of Hawthorne, because I think the addition of this band shell is doing wonders for this community, and I'm so proud to be a part of this community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You did good
Thank you,
on
John.
time and everything. Thank you.
Thank you. I have another engagement now.
Yes.
At the Knights of Columbus, who's doing a fundraiser for Fight for Autism, a golf outing.
Yeah, you know, and what makes it such a special night is we had Anthony playing with us on the drums, and here's Anthony, who is on the spectrum, who is, you know, every day he gets through he struggles through them, and yet here he is playing with a two-time Tony-nominated singer, and a singer of a very high professional level who says the kid can play with anybody. He's an amazing talent, and he's an amazing story, and we are on the map, and one of the nice things that came from this whole thing was we're on CBS News, we're on Q1043 Radio. The Wayne Patch picks us up, and now our events are getting picked up in the Wayne Patch because of this event. Johanna mentioned, I know Lori sent pictures over to the newspaper, and we're going to get that coupled with a story. 201 Magazine is going to run a story on our band shell. So it was a great night, not just for the Fight for Autism people, but for this community. And what showed was the next event we had on the 24th, we had about 500 people for country night. It was a fantastic performance, and those of us who don't love country loved the performance. There's nobody who saw Radio Nashville who didn't think they knocked it out of the park. They were phenomenal. They were gracious. They brought kids up on stage. There were little kids on stage tugging at the performers while they were playing. They didn't care. So they had a great night there. And then we had about 100 people for Aladdin. And it was a nice night. Thank you to Joanne Graziano for bringing popcorn to the event, to the Municipal Alliance for sponsoring with us. Special thanks for the country night go to Frank Riley, Joan Hervey, Nancy Agnello, who were really the people who put that together, and to Ellen Brogno and my brother John, who put together the movie nights. We are still looking at doing a September movie. We will get back to you on that, but again, it's been a phenomenal second year. We're already planning year 3. It's going to be bigger and better, as Johanna says, so look forward to it, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That, Mayor, concludes all of my reports.
Thank you for that brief report. Next, I call upon Borough Engineer Steve Boswell for his report.
Thank you, Mayor. Arlington Avenue, tonight, R15217, you will award it to the low bidder, Marini Brothers. We have worked with them before, and they have done good work in the past, so hopefully we'll have a much smoother thing on Arlington Avenue. The band shell on the bathroom, we received drawings from Ed Essie, and he's preparing the plans and specs, and he's also preparing the cost estimate for the proposed restroom structure. The lighting, we've given Eric a couple of different things with bollard lighting as well as pole lightings, and we're going to select what we're going to do going forward. Big night tonight, we're awarding on R15317, the new DPW building. You can see through the negotiations and value engineering, it has all been gotten down to the number that we have available to us with some extra in there, although I don't think we'll need it because it's primarily lump sum. Also, just one point, the DPW committee, I'm not sure we made this clear, but now you can wash trucks in all the bays. That was we did tell you that.
In fact, they have a trench drain along the whole front.
Trench drain goes the whole way, so you can wash them in any of the bays.
You can retire now, John.
Streetscape project, the only thing I'll add to it is they're doing the final electrical inspection, and Joe, you'd also asked about a trench collapse. That's also been repaired back there. Rock road improvements, milling, paving, and striping is complete. We just need punch list to close that out. The water storage tank painting, the bids are due the end of September. We're awarding it on, not the end, so they're actually due next Friday. We're advertising whenever. Lori will know soon. Trust me, you're going to know that.
Okay.
We're going to award that at the October 4th meeting. We think funding will be available at that time. The municipal complex, tonight you're going to award a change order for $820, but don't be concerned because it's actually a net $355 because you will get a credit back of $465 because it'll return the antenna because we've made it cellular now as opposed to an antenna, so it can be done directly with a cell phone. 2017 road program, we talked about in some detail. The one piece that we didn't talk about was the one block on 8th Avenue that was not part of the program, and I just wanted to let Councilman Matthews know, because he had asked about this, that The reason that block wasn't included is the original source of funding on this was CDBG money, and that block doesn't qualify for CDBG. The other blocks do. And so this block will be paved because we've got a good price on the asphalt quantities. We will have to do a change order for the contract, but it will still stay below the bond amount easily. So there's enough money to do it. The only concrete work we will do in the extra block are the handicap ramps, because the curb work, it's not that bad anyway, and the sidewalks, we never notified the residents they would be assessed, so we can't go out and do that now at this point. There is one drainage issue. I'll just tell you that it requires a drain to go about 275, I think it was, Eric, down the side street, and we'll put that drain in we'll put the drain in 8th Avenue when we run the drain down the side street, Llewellyn.
Florence.
Florence, I'm sorry.
Genevieve.
Thank you.
Genevieve, okay, one of those.
Yeah. Some other side, so I said side.
Say Llewellyn,
Side street work better.
That's a long 275 feet.
The air permits for the generators, they've been submitted online, and we just, the state will send an invoice, and then when you pay that, they will give you the permit. Not anytime before that. Lastly, local aid, 2018, the candidate for this year is going to be Roosevelt and Hutchinson Avenue from 4th to Roosevelt, that turn. The borough has initiated the application on the SAGE system, which is the automated system for the DOT. And the required resolution, we've given it to the borough. It'll probably be on next agenda, and we'll just pass a resolution.
It's on this one.
156, R-156.
Already on this one.
156.
50, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
okay, I missed that.
156.
156-17 then tonight, we'll approve that. And other than that, Mayor, I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Steve. And now for my cleanup hitter, Borough Administrator Eric Mauer for what looks to be a very lengthy report.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll try to keep it short. Just mentioned the payment for the generator permits. We do have one tonight because we do have the amount, so we will process the check, and so as soon as we get the actual invoice in, we'll be able to submit it. And then once we do that, and get the permit in hand, we'll be able to close out our grant finally. On the agenda this evening is Resolution R-155-17, which authorizes the resubmission of a grant application to the NJDOT for funds to repave Prescott Avenue. Bruno Associates, our grant writer, will be preparing the joint application from Hawthorne and the Borough Prospect Park, who will pass their resolution later this month. It will not be in competition with the application for local aid funds for Roosevelt Avenue being authorized by Resolution 156, because it's a separate funding program. Bruno Associates has also been working on 2 grant applications, one for the fire department and one for the ambulance corps, for a private grant opportunity from Firehouse Subs. These applications will be submitted this week. We're also getting ready for an application for the fire department under the Federal Assistance to Firefighters Program for when the next funding cycle comes out, which should be sometime this fall. Unfortunately, we received notification from the NJDOT last week that the grant application submitted by our prior grant writer for Phase 2 of our downtown revitalization streetscape program was turned down due to insufficient funding. We will ask our new grant writer to submit a new application once another round of funding is announced. The summer pool season concluded Monday. The pool manager's report of operations should be online and distributed to the council and the Board of Recreation within the next week or so. The pool manager has also made several budgetary recommendations for improvements that will be discussed with the Finance Committee. Our Finance Department and our Bond Council are working on a sale of bond anticipation notes later this month to provide temporary funding for both general capital and water capital items, notably the painting of and improvements to the Goffle Hill tank that is going out to bid that Steve mentioned. The tax office is preparing for the annual tax sale, which will be held on October 17th. This will cover properties with unpaid taxes or water bills from 2016. The first advertising of properties on the sale will be in the Hawthorne Press on September 21st. The good news is that even as of today, there are only 7 properties with 2016 tax delinquencies, and that could be diminished, so by the time we get to the tax sale, there may be fewer. Our best practices inventory is due to the state in early or mid-October. As you may remember, we need to make a presentation of that to the council, which we'll do at the next council meeting, September 20th. You'll be pleased to note that there are enough positive responses again this year that we'll have no loss in state funds. We'll give you more detail on that at the next meeting. The arbitration hearing for the PBA grievance on Garcia time has been set for September 22nd. I'll be meeting with our attorney to prepare for that ahead of that session. William Patterson College has approached the borough regarding the purchase of brine this winter. I'll be meeting with them in the near future to see if this makes sense for both parties. And last but not least, the borough clerk and I conducted the annual bicycle auction on August 30th, raising the sum of $154.50 while getting 12 bikes in the hands of people who will actually use them rather than having sitting in the storage area.
How'd you do with the wheels?
Yeah, I was gonna say, how the wheels turn out?
They
That
sold
includes
as
the
well.
$45, I think, the
$45.
wheels went.
So really only sold like $70 in bikes?
$100 in
Over
bike.
$100 in bikes.
Oh, the wheels were a whole,
It was 140, he said.
154,
154, so about $100 in plus in bike.
which is better than, we had
There
some
was
actual.
only a dozen
We actually
bikes
had
this
some
time.
bidding and had
Sometimes there's about 20.
people bidding up some of the.
Yeah, there's nothing more exciting than seeing Eric as an auctioneer, let me
I
tell you.
remember when you were the auctioneer, you do an excellent job.
Thank you, but I was not the auctioneer for this, we would have made a little more money.
Sure we will. But we got $154.50. And that concludes my report.
Okay, and it's William Patterson University, not William
That's
Patterson
right,
College.
okay.
So they spent a lot of money becoming a university.
University.
Council President, we'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right, John, we'll start down your end.
Yes. Michael?
Yes, sir.
On your report, you had mentioned about sending a letter to the commissioner, which you did. What's the time period that we'd have to wait for the commissioner to
Not
get back
respond.
to us, that we don't go back to the appellate division?
There is no specific time period within which the commissioner is obligated to act, just as there's no time period within which the appellate division is obligated to act. So unfortunately, we find ourselves at the mercy of the commissioner again.
So
I'm
how
still
long,
waiting
how
for
long
a
are we going to wait?
reply from my letter.
I intended to give him 10 days to initially respond, and if I get no response in 10 days, to send a follow-up letter saying if we don't hear from you, we'll assume the answer is no, and then try to move on from there.
And is that something that the appellate division will find, like, at least in our favor, that we've gone through the process?
I don't know that, John. I couldn't tell you. We have to go through the process, but again, whether it's 10 days or 2 weeks or 30 days, I couldn't tell you what the reasonable time frame is because the statute doesn't say. So,
Okay,
but we will stay on top of it.
thank you. That's all, John.
Dominic?
I'm okay.
Bruce?
Yeah, it's probably premature, but do you think we have the capacity to supply William Patterson's needs for brine on top of what we use?
That's one of the things we'll have to determine in the meeting. How
Okay.
much do they need and are we able to supply it? So, yes, so.
And when is that meeting?
It hasn't been set yet, but it'll be later this month.
Okay.
So we'll have time to decide and have an agreement in place if it seems to work out.
I assume you'll keep the DPW committee informed.
Okay?
That's it.
Frank?
Steve, what was the change order for the digital sign for? I thought we ordered it with the ability to remote program it.
We ordered it, no, we did. We ordered it, though, with an antenna. Instead of, it now will work on a cell phone, whereas before it would work on a computer. So you still can you could remotely program it before, but from a computer, now it can be done from the cell phone. It actually has cell service to the sign.
Frank, we had an issue on getting connectivity between the sign and the clerk's office. We couldn't get a clear signal, so the other possibility was to put an antenna somewhere here and then run line to the clerk's office.
Back to the server room.
Right, back to the server room. This turned out to be a much less expensive way to do it. The monthly charge is about $12, I think, for the cellular modem. So this seemed to be the fastest and most economical way to get this done.
That's actually become the norm for
It is.
signs. We're
Right.
doing,
It's also the way we do all the lights now on fields.
yeah, we just
It's all
put
done on the phone.
display units in, and
Right.
in fact, our alarm system and our display units went cellular not even wireless.
Right.
So,
And is that covered by the grant that we had gotten for it?
We're still under the grant
Still under the
amount.
grant.
Okay.
we got a $400 credit, too.
$465.
That's all she needs me.
Right,
Gary?
it's really costing us like $300.
Michael, and the mayor,
$350.
I saw in the email we got from Lori about the convention, at the mayor's lunch, or box lunch.
Right.
The speaker is Commissioner Bob Martin, and you're allowed to bring 2 guests with you. Maybe you want to go with Michael, now they want to discuss the turf field with the commissioner. I'm sure he'll be willing to take questions from the audience there.
We'll have to look into, let's see how things are going by the
I think
time.
we all should go.
That comes up in
Yeah,
a
but
couple
it's only
months'
last
time, but yeah.
No, you can buy as many
You can buy more
tickets as you
tickets.
want.
$30 at the lunch,
Yeah.
for a box lunch.
Well,
Just
the
stay out
email-
there.
the
30
email
bucks
did
if I
say
get the
the mayor
Mazda
and 2
guy?
guests.
We can stand outside and help.
all right, you're guest number 1,
There you go.
so.
That's fine, and we can probably get, Mayor
Tomatoes.
Cosgrove and Mayor George and a few other mayors to
Yeah.
sponsor us. So, we could find some friends out there.
What day of the week is that?
Wednesday.
It's Wednesday at
Yeah.
at the convention.
Yes,
What
it's
the date
Wednesday
is.
at lunchtime, at noon.
Anything else, Gary?
That's all.
Joe?
Let me know.
Just one quick one, because I don't know if it falls under, it does not fall under Shade Tree Commission. There's a tree that has a wasp nest that's in a borough tree, but the wasp nest is so heavy that it's leaning into the resident's yard.
It's in a shade, a municipal shade
It's a
tree?
municipal shade tree.
Okay, what's the,
It's 140 Lafayette Ave.
It's like a piñata.
It looks exactly like a piñata.
On your way home tonight, whack it.
I was gonna send one of the what's the gentleman from Boswell's that did not go through the Shade Tree Commission? Can we have him work on that?
Well, that would be a little more punishment than we intended.
They said they were gonna take it down and put it on your front porch.
No, Boswell's, maybe.
Anything else, Joe?
No, sir.
Anybody have anything else for the administration? If not, I'll entertain a motion to record the administrative agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Bennett, seconded by Witecki. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Introduction of ordinances. For those keeping score at home that may have an old agenda, we pulled ordinance 2197-17, and we've forwarded that ordinance to the Environmental Commission for their comments on this particular ordinance. So, tonight we have 2. Ordinance number 2195-17, an ordinance to amend ordinance 2175-17, fixing the 2017 salary, wages, and compensation of the employees of the Borough of Hawthorne, County of Passaic, and State of New Jersey. Be it resolved that ordinance 2195-17 does now pass a first reading, and that said ordinance be further considered for final passage at a meeting of the governing body in the municipal building, 445 Lafayette Avenue, Hawthorne, New Jersey, on October 4th, 2017, at 7 p.m., at which time and place all persons interested will be given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same, and the clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish said ordinance in the Hawthorne Press once, posted on the borough website at least 1 week prior to said hearing with a notice of its introduction and of the time and place when and where said ordinance would be considered for final passage. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Made by Bennett, seconded by Lane. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wotecki, excuse me, Wotecki,
Still yes?
Sitting,
Yes.
Mealy,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Bertolo.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Ordinance 2196-17, an ordinance to further amend and supplement Chapter 505, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Section 505-21, Time Limit Parking, Schedule 16 of the Code of the Borough of Hawthorne, so as to add thereto certain additional locations. Be resolved that ordinance 2196-17 does now pass a first reading, and that said ordinance be further considered for final passage at a meeting of the governing body in the municipal building, 445 Lafayette Avenue, Hawthorne, New Jersey, on October 4th, 2017, at 7 p.m., at which time and place all persons interested will be given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same, and the clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish said ordinance in the Hawthorne Press once and posted on the borough website at least 1 week prior to said hearing, with a notice of its introduction, of the time and place, when and where said ordinance would be considered for final passage. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Made by Matthews, seconded by Sinning. Any discussion?
Yes, could we get some background? Why are we doing this?
We do this anytime a business owner needs shorter parking duration so that people can come to their business. We've done this on Lafayette Avenue in several places. We did it for Hawthorne Chevy, who needed more time. It's basically trying to be business-friendly to allow them to get customers to come to their store.
It's in front of the Central Ave Deli.
It's the corner, Forest and Central, it's 2 spots. It's 2 parking spots.
Okay, I know the place.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Bennett,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Mealy.
Yes.
Sinning.
Yes.
Woteki.
Yes.
Bertolo.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolutions, consent agenda MR 0617, R 15017 through R 15617. MR 0617, install handicap parking space at Block 71, Lot 21. R 15017, Borough of Hawthorne payroll dated August 18, 2017. R 15117, change order 1 to Foreman Signs. R 15217, award of contract for Arlington Avenue improvements. R 15317, award of contract for DPW storage and wash building. 15417, purchase of radar speed signs for police department. R 15517, approved joint application with Prospect Park for Prescott Ave. R 15617, 2018 NJDOT local aid application. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Made by Lane, seconded by Matthews. Any discussion? I just have 2 comments. One, I'm glad we finally are awarding the contract to the DPW garage and that project, the wash building, to bring that building up to the 21st century. As I said before, when we appropriated the money, it's well over 50 years that there's been any improvement done to that building.
Also sprinkling it is.
Well, that's my next point, is the, not only would be in compliance with the oil water separator, we also take the risk away by sprinkling the entire building, which brings us up to date. I want to take a moment, to thank the committee of, we were on the committee, but John Lane and Frank Matthews, with their background and expertise, certainly played a large role in it, and obviously Steve and the administration. It took us a long time to do this, but I think we did it right. We brought the cost down to a manageable budget that we can all be happy with, and I think it's an investment. As I said before, our fleet is well over $2 million in equipment and fleet. It's a wise investment for our borough, so I'm happy to vote for that.
Mr. President, I just want
yes.
to remind, I've mentioned it a couple times before, in the past 2 years, there have been 3 DPW buildings in New Jersey that have caught fire, and they've basically destroyed fleets, covered by insurance, but what do you do until you can replace vehicles, which can take 6 months?
Right.
It's that the sprinklering of the old building and the new building accomplishes that, along with everything else, and that's something that is very valuable.
Very good.
John, is there a timetable, like, do the sprinkling? I mean, the building will be done. Can we do the sprinkling first for the old building? Is that possible?
Well, he'll have to do it in the way that's most, we got him down pretty tight in terms of the numbers, so.
Yeah, you're gonna have to wait till the structure gets up, so it's all
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, I think
He's
he's
not
gonna
gonna
do
come do part and then come back.
He-
He won't charge the
He'll
system.
lose money
that's for
doing
sure.
it two,
Yeah.
two phases.
It's a nice idea, Don, but I think with the number we've gotten it down to, I don't think there's any room to do it.
My other comment, 15417, I'm very, very happy to see that we're purchasing the radar speed signs. That's just the first step in our program of eliminating speeding or trying to control speeding throughout the borough. We know the fight we have, and it's not just in Hawthorne, it's all over. Speed is playing a, wreaking havoc in towns. And I think it just goes hand in hand. Our traffic division, the police department is on top of it, and we're going to continue to grow this. These 4, I guess there'll be 4 streets that we'll be placing these on. I guess it'll be in both directions.
Yep.
Will be a good trial to see how it works, and I anticipate that we'll be purchasing more of these in the near future to continue to work on controlling speed and keeping our town safe. So, with that said, if there's no other, yes,
Just one thing.
sure.
I'd just like to thank Steve and his firm for working with Eric and our administration to get the price down. It's, as John said, it's going to be an asset for us in the community for many, many years to come to protect our our investment. The other thing is, as far as the speed signs are concerned, I'd just like to say thanks to our police department. I mean, I listen to the scanner when I'm home, and every minute they're pulling a car over, and they're giving not one but several tickets to speeders or to whatever infraction that they're doing. So accolades, as far as I'm concerned, not only to the traffic division but the entire department for what they're doing. It's if you listen to the scanner, it's like unbelievable the amount of times they're pulling over vehicles or cars or trucks. While we're talking about that, no, never mind.
Any other comments on the Rs and the MR? If not, roll call, please.
Woteki.
Caught me off guard. No on 15117, no on 15317, yes on all others.
Sinning.
Yes.
Mealy.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Bennett.
Yes.
Bertolo.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Reports of special council committees. Joe, we'll start down your end.
All right. The IT committee met tonight. Members of the IT committee will be testing out new tablets to see how they work for email and our agendas. Emails will be going to OWA so that we can sign on, get off the forwarding process. And lastly, the clerk, do you want to mention about the new, our clerk, Lori, would you like to mention about our new website that we're looking at?
Sure. Thank you. Eric and I have interviewed and gotten proposals for 3 website vendors, and that was our discussion in tonight's meeting with the technology committee. I also invited Matt Hoogmud from the police department for his comment as well. I believe we're going to go with Civic Plus. They specialize in government sites. They have about 2,300 sites across the nation. They're based out of Kansas. They will be doing on-site training, 3 days of on-site training with the staff. Some of the other vendors were virtual training or remote training, not coming on-site and in person. So a lot of pluses to this vendor. Their customer service up to this point in being in contact with us and the delivering of their proposal and anything else they can do for us, I just think outshines the others who just basically submitted a proposal and have maybe made one follow-up phone call. I think several of you poked around on the websites that they have designed. I'd be happy to forward the rest of the council some of those links to other, one in particular, Riverdale, that's local. They've done Cape May County. Very nice designs, but again, it's all dictated by us, what we want to see, how we want to see it, and I think that we'll be happy with the new vendors, and when Eric gives the go-ahead, they're also on state contract, which is a good thing, and then when Eric gives the go-ahead to make that switch, we'll start. In the meantime, I've been asking each department to view their content on the current database, current website, because it will actually just be transferring it over. So we want everything to be, as real news and information as possible, of course, when we transfer it over.
Right.
So we're all working on that in-house before the actual takeover of the new vendor. And we'll keep everybody posted as the pieces go on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Just a quick question while you're on that. Are there interactive features on the website?
Yes.
Paying bills?
Yep,
and
you can pay bills,
Absolutely.
you can
Came
fill
up.
out
Yep.
applications.
Yeah.
So it would be
Yep.
perfect for those signing up for the pool, paying.
As we
Are you-
start, we're primarily moving over what we
Yeah,
have.
do you need
changing-
our approval? You got the money, I don't, you
We
need council
have the money,
resolution or anything?
and
There's
it's
gonna
on
be
state
a-
contract, and it's below the bid threshold, so there isn't there shouldn't be a resolution required to do this. Obviously,
Maybe just give us the backup,
Okay.
and whenever you do it, so
Okay.
it's on the bill list or whatever, so we're
Okay.
all on the same
I'm
page, that's
gonna
all.
just forward them my papers.
Okay.
Okay.
Just real quick, our
Well, you might want
current,
for everybody, or we can stick them in the council room, if we
Yeah, I'll
don't
do
want to
that.
save paper.
real quick, our current one is obsolete, so we're at the point where we just can't updated
Well, that's what I'm
anymore.
saying, if we're ready to go on it, let's put it on for next meeting, get it and,
Yeah, I think we can even start before there, but we'll
Right.
provide the information. We don't need a resolution at this point, so.
if the administration's
Yeah, don't
happy,
need
the
anything.
IT
You're
committee's
ready.
happy,
Yeah.
we're happy.
Good, thank you.
So, anything else, Joe?
No, sir.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
Gary?
Oh, yeah, with the ordinance committee that this week, you see we have a couple ordinances on here. We also did some research on a few other ordinances we have pending here. We won't be meeting again next week to work on the zoning.
Frank?
As the mayor alluded to, the Green Fair is this Sunday at the Chamber of Commerce's Farmers Market. It's sponsored with the Environmental Commission and the Green Team. Come down and support the organizations as well as the Chamber of Commerce's vendors. The annual fishing derby is September 16th between the hours of 8:30 and 11 at Arnold's Pond. Bring your rod, bring your bait, and bring your kid. Planning board last night met, and a few certificate of compliance certificates were awarded for occupancy, and Auto Body Place is replacing P&M Auto Body on Goffel Road, and an acupuncturist is coming to Lincoln Ave to replace the In-Spa empty store.
Well, they're not gonna replace it.
And they were questioned severely and told that they're gonna be watched, and there should be no physical massage at all, and no acupressure as well. So, the mayor made the motion for that, by the way. And that concludes my reports.
I have an appointment 9:30 on
Bruce?
Yeah, the Public Works Committee met on the 21st of August, and the best part about being chairman of the Public Works Committee is that if Steve doesn't report on it, or Eric doesn't report on it, it's probably not worth mentioning. They covered just about everything that we discussed, except for the wells. We are having ongoing repairs done to our well system. Well 5 was repaired, and as of the 21st, we were waiting test results to turn it back on. I assume we've gotten those by now.
I believe so.
It was pretty
Yes.
close.
Yeah. The Maitland is operating with temporary pump, and Goffel Well was down for repairs. But the good news is, even during the summer months, we still had an adequate supply with the wells that were operational. So there's nothing to be concerned about. As Steve has alluded to many times, some of the pumps are going on 60 years old,
I
right?
think
So,
when you took over, the average age of the pumps was like 55 years old.
Right,
Which is
so-
well beyond their design.
so we've gotten more than
We got
our
our money's worth.
worth out of it, and the repairs are going smoothly, so it's all good.
Thanks, Bruce. Dominic?
Then I'll make a.
Yes, just a note, on Diamond Bridge where our, what do you call it, our streetscape is being done, there are garbage receptacles down there which we put in, and there are also planters. But people are putting garbage in the planters.
They putting plants in the garden?
No, I will put plants in by the weekend so that people will stop putting garbage in, but just believe, the engineer put tape across it, they took the tape off.
Doesn't matter.
Believe that?
Well, did they throw the tape in the
believe it.
garbage or the planter?
I'm done.
Thank you, Dominic. John?
Yeah, we had a Board of Health meeting, there's really nothing new to discuss, so, we have another one coming up soon, so I'll see if there's any news.
Okay. We have no correspondence, but we have bills. Motion to approve the bills and forward to the treasurer for payment.
So moved.
Made by Mealy, seconded by Sinning. Any discussion? Roll call.
Woteki,
Staying on the fire department, yes, on all others?
Sinning,
Yes,
Mealy,
Yes.
Yes.
Matthews, Lane,
Abstain on the fire department and the ambulance corps, yes on all others.
Bennett,
Yes.
Bertolo.
Abstain on Downs Tree Service, yes on all those.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Public comment. I will now open the meeting to the public. If anyone desires to be heard, please raise your hand to be recognized. Come forward to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Anyone wish to be heard? Chief?
Chief.
And Assistant Chief.
Chiefs.
Chief's Joe.
Joseph Brandon, 907 Lafayette. Just a couple things I want to go over with the fire department on behalf of the fire department. This Saturday, we're doing a drive for Harvey, Hurricane Harvey. We're going to be collecting some goods. It's kind of, the collection keeps changing as the need for needing down south. priority being water right now, so we're pushing people to bring water. Spoken a little while ago, we're actually going to divert the shipment to Virginia and stage it there just in case Irma is just as bad as Harvey. There's some concern that these articles that we're collecting may be needed in both parts of the country. We're not going to circumvent either one of them, but we're going to work on both of them. Once it leaves Hawthorne, it's basically out of our hands. It goes with the Salvation Army and some other people down there. September 30th, our first ever EMS Fire Department picnic. We'd like you guys to attend if you can. We're going to be hosting it over at the ambulance corps is going to be hosting it at their building. We'll be parking over by Rescue 5, probably playing some cornhole games and some volleyball and some horseshoes, and sitting down and chatting with our ambulance corps and getting to know each other a little bit better, and hopefully bringing two corps together or organizations together and improve our relationships. So
What time is that, Chief?
probably going to kick it off at 3, because one of our companies has to go up to North Hill
North Hill today?
Yeah, so we'll probably kick off at 3 and we'll have food and so forth, and it should be a pretty good time. It's a good opportunity to meet and greet.
Where's the drop place for the volunteers?
Rescue
Fire
five.
headquarters, from 9 to 4, I'm sorry, yes,
Okay.
Saturday from 9 to 4. 4 o'clock, the truck's gonna get loaded and it's moving, so depending on the storm, it may even move quicker, so.
Chief, just so you know, I've asked to look at our food bank to see whether we have food here that we can donate to the hurricane relief, because we do have an active food bank here, and we may have excess food.
Appreciate it. Again, Mayor, the newest update was pet food and definitely water. For some reason, water is now a huge issue down south, so whatever comes in will move, you know, it's.
We can have all the Hawthorne water you want.
Gotta bottle it.
That's right.
All right, unfortunately, we continue with an environment which I don't know why. I wish I had an answer as to what our alarm counts are spiking so high for. The last month, we were just as significant as July with 51 runs. 107 alarms for the fire department, 2 months is a lot. 351 for the year is a lot, and we have 4 months to go yet. We're probably unfortunately looking to set an unnatural disaster record for our department, but don't know why. You know, we think it's mutual aid. It's not. It's mostly responses within a borough of a service. Unfortunately, we've had some pretty unusual and serious incidents. This past Sunday was a pretty serious incident, but they're out there, we'll respond. Our guys and gals are doing a great job, so just give you a heads up on that.
Chief, how many CO detector alarms are you getting a week?
Not as many as we used to. We used to get quite a few, but they're down now. Glenrock takes a burden of them. We're going to do some educational campaign. We'll do that at Hawthorne Day, but it's starting that phase now, that 7-year phase where they start to fail. It's
Right.
done, and we're moving on to the next phase. A lot of them we go on, Mayor, are some of them are legit. You know,
Right.
and unfortunately, thank goodness for a carbon dioxide detector. We could have had some
Tragic.
past years,
Yep.
some ugly incidents, yeah. But we do get our false alarms. We get more fire alarm false alarms than anything else. So it's somebody's doing construction and they have to get cover detectors. But we downscale it, but it's, you know, majority of the stuff is service call, so it's, thank goodness. On October 22nd, we're gratefully going to be hosting a countywide drill. You're welcome to come on down and take a look at it. We're going to be doing it in the pool parking lot and using San Giuseppe Way as a fill site for tankers. We're going to simulate that our pumps fail for water. Actually, we're simulating a water emergency within a jurisdiction that we have no water to work with, and we're using tankers, which we are not familiar with. So we're going to go ahead and participate in a countywide drill with tankers coming from up north. We're going to teach us how to run a fill site. And God forbid we ever need it, we have the opportunity to learn it, and we'll go forward. And it's a great opportunity for Hawthorne to be on the map in the county for our other county fire departments. And finally, I can't thank you enough for moving forward. It means a lot to move forward in an environment where we have natural disasters starting to affect us greatly. Not Hawthorne yet, hopefully, and hopefully it stays away, but, you know, to have the council administration move forward on a piece of equipment that is expensive. You know, if anybody says it's not, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to lay on the table. And the tower may even be a lot more. So it's, you know, we appreciate the fact that you guys are looking at stuff, listening, and moving forward. And I hope our residents understand that. It means a lot to keep the fire department, EMS, police, and so forth, everything you guys do to keep everybody up to stuff. So I'm grateful from the department on it. Thanks again.
Chief.
Assistant Chief Longo, Engine Company 3, on behalf of Engine
What's your
Company
address?
3.
We need your address for the record.
83 North 8th Street.
83 North 8th
Yeah,
Street. On behalf of Engine Company 3 and myself, we thank you. It's a very important piece of equipment, and this, in going ahead, helps us to better serve our community with more more efficiency. So thank you very much.
Well, we thank you guys.
Thank you.
And
Chief
ladies.
Speranza, I have a question for you. Just so you're aware, the ambulance corps, we put into service last night, RAD 57. It's a carbon monoxide detector for a person to detect how much chemical they may have in their body. The ambulance corps purchased 2 of them. So we have them, just so you're aware, in case you need anything at a scene, you can dispatch EMS. So, it's going to help our residents significantly with regard to, what their CO level is in their body, plus oxygen, et cetera.
Councilman, we're speaking with Kenny, our Chief Houseman, and I'll probably be doing the same with Chief McCall. Maybe time that we find a couple personal devices, so if a police officer or an ambulance personnel goes into an incident where it could be simulating a stroke, and their carbon monoxide detector goes off that's on their jump bag or something like that, then you got a problem. We had an incident.
We already have them on all our jump bags in the ambulance corps.
Again, Kenny has been proactive in getting that, so I thank you guys for doing that. That means a lot to keep you out of harm's way and let us know that something's going seriously wrong.
Yeah.
So, thanks again.
You're welcome.
You're very welcome. Anyone else wish to be heard? Seeing no one, I entertain a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
Second.
Made by Bennett, seconded by Mealy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Closed session pursuant to NJSA 10:4-13 and the Attorney General's formal opinion 29-1976. I move that the public be excluded from this portion of the meeting in order that the council may discuss personnel. Items to be discussed in the closed session can be disclosed to the public when a course of action is determined or a decision has been reached. And we have interviews tonight for 2 candidates. Candidate for Deputy Borough Clerk Nancy Salisbury and candidate for Chief Financial Officer Lori Foley. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn into closed session.
So moved.
Made by Matthew, seconded by Lane. Roll call.
Bennett?
Yes.
Lane?
Yes.
Matthews?
Yes.
Mealy?
Yes.
Sinning?
Yes.
Woteki?
Yes, ma'am.
Bertolo?
Bertolo, yes.
Bertolo, yes. Okay.
We're going to clear the entire room, and then we'll grab the candidates as we need them.